occupants of 129 won't witness the FBI. You have a warrant. For your safety, come out through the front door with your hands up.
Later, a bang, followed by smoke. Officers had guns drawn as a man came out of the home with hands raised. Chopper 6 was overhead as he was put into cuffs and then into the back of a vehicle. Next-door neighbor Bert Trama tried to see what was happening.
We counted close to 24 federal agents, some of them in tactical gear, entering the residence. Why they were here and what they were looking for, that remains unclear.
FBI agents surrounding several homes on the 3100 block of Weymouth Street after an early morning federal raid across several Kensington blocks.
At least 29 Weymouth Street gang members have been arrested after FBI and local authorities surrounded a 24-hour open-air drug market, poisoning the entire Philadelphia neighborhood with dangerous drugs for over a decade.
And what the two folks at the top were doing is they were importing drugs, fentanyl from California and Mexico, and cocaine from Puerto Rico.
2 years ago, Florida lawmakers set up state assistance for fentanyl eradication. Sheriff John Minas says funding through FDLE from the SAFE program supported this costly operation to shut down a Central Florida drug ring.
So as you can imagine, drug dealers don't work 9 to 5. They work all hours of the night and weekends. They go to different communities, different counties. They're constantly getting rid of their phones and their cars.
The authorities are now calling this the largest federal indictment in Philadelphia in over a century, and even the FBI director was shocked by the details of the criminal operation.
This takedown is how you safeguard American cities from coast to coast. This takedown is an interagency process, years in the making. Extensive legal service and process was executed here, correctly done to make sure that the integrity of the investigation is upheld and the criminals are put into the legal system and brought before a judge and a jury, and they will have their rightful day in court. But the overarching importance of this case and this takedown is this is exactly how you safeguard American lives. You go after the organizations that are inflicting pain across America in each and every city. And this is my tenure as FBI director. This is one of the largest and most impressive gang takedowns that I have ever seen. So I felt it important to come here and just shake the hands of the brave men and women that did this work. I did not have much of a role in this operation. The FBI brought in an incredible amount of assets.
Even as the agents were dismantling the criminal network, another ring moved in to take over. That trail eventually led them to $1 billion drug shipment at the Port of Philadelphia.
$1 billion drug bust at the Port of Philadelphia. So far, agents have found several shipping containers loaded with 33,000 pounds of cocaine. All of it discovered during an exhaustive search that's now lasted more than 24 hours.
Eliminate and eradicate entire drug trafficking networks. We're going to clean out whole neighborhoods, and we're going to return these neighborhoods to its residents. The blocks belong to the residents, not the drug dealers, and we are just getting started.
So, this raid was the result of a decade-long investigation, and it all came crashing down on the morning of October 24th, when federal agents and local authorities moved in to dismantle the criminal operations on Weymouth Street.
There was a large bang.
Flash grenades, federal agents, and a large armored vehicle swarming around this home just before 7:30 a.m.
There's the bang of the flash grenade, and I look out the window and there's 5 red dots on my face.
A lot of commotion, a lot of guns, a lot of equipment, and big army tank type thing on the lawn, and it was pretty extreme. People in the backyard, snipers, drones.
We are in the 3100 block of Weymouth Street here in Kensington, and take a look behind me. Well, more than halfway up the block there, you can see federal agents are on the street. We saw the letters FBI on their backs. We also just saw some FBI agents covering boxes. A team of federal investigators have been out here now. They have the words Evidence Response Team written on the back of their jackets.
Within minutes, dozens of FBI agents and local officers were moving door to door, guns drawn, while armored vehicles blocked the streets around Clearfield and F Streets.
Video shows agents busting into several homes on the block. Loudspeakers were heard, demanding suspects come out. The entire neighborhood blocked off with hundreds of law enforcement.
Neighbors watched from their windows as the agents breached several houses, pulling people out one by one. And by the time it was over, 33 people had been indicted, and 24 were arrested that morning, in addition to 6 more who were already in custody. The operation stretched across multiple city blocks in Kensington, a neighborhood long known as the heart of Philadelphia's opioid crisis.
United States Attorney David Metcalf says the operation dates back to 2018. Prosecutors named Jose Antonio Morales Nieves the ringleader of the gang, with Ramon Montañez and Nancy Rios Valentin high-ranking leaders. Together, authorities say they ran the operation like a successful business, keeping schedules for dealers and lookouts, and threatened violence to anyone who went to authorities.
The people of Kensington deserve safety, dignity, and peace, as any other neighborhood does.
Of the 33 indicted, 32 are now in custody with ties to Delaware, New Jersey, and Puerto Rico. A takedown authorities are calling historic for the district.
And it all revolved around one powerful organization known as the Weymouth Street Trafficking Organization.
This Weymouth Street Gang is not just one instance of removing a couple of people. It is an example of how you remove an entire organization that is corrupting not just the city of Philadelphia, but the state of Pennsylvania as well.
These guys ran their operation like a corporation. Investigators even found handwritten schedules for dealers and lookouts, notes on who covered each shift, and ledgers showing exactly how profits were divided.
The next indictment has a space with your name on it. Director Patel, I hope you plan to make more trips to Philadelphia, because as the commissioner said, we are just getting started here. On the subject of Kensington, I'll say, as the commissioner noted, its residents deserve safety. And on the subject of prevention or intervention or enforcement, I think we've shown today what we're going to do from an enforcement perspective. I frequently get asked, what are you going to do about Kensington? And today shows what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate and eradicate entire drug trafficking networks. We're going to clean out whole neighborhoods, and we're going to return these neighborhoods to its residents. The blocks belong to the residents, not the drug dealers.
At the top of the criminal structure were 2 men, Jose Antonio Morales Nieves, known on the streets as Flaco, and Ramon Montañez, his right-hand man. Together, they built what authorities are now calling a cartel-style business.
The feds say the operation revolved around one man, Jose Antonio Morales Nieves, aka Flaco. Prosecutors say he ran a drug network that stretched from Puerto Rico to the Kensington neighborhood of Philadelphia. Nieves controlled several properties on the street, allegedly offering free rent to tenants who agreed to move his product. In the 173-page indictment obtained by Newsmax, federal prosecutors outlined a narcotics ring that ran like a business. The Weymouth crew kept a schedule of who did what and when. Runners resupplied the drugs, caseworkers managed the drugs, enforcers protected the drugs, and of course the hustlers or street dealers made the transactions.
They collected rent from dealers who wanted to sell in their territory, flooding the entire streets of Kensington with drugs. And according to the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, David Metcalf, they terrorized the residents with horrific acts of violence and intimidation.
They ran it like a business, but they also ran it, as the director alluded to, by violence, by fear, and by threats. They enforced their territory through the threats of assaults, shootings, and murder. They threatened anyone who talked to or cooperated with law enforcement.
The attorney's office shared these images of what they say are customers lining up on the street as gang members handed out samples of drugs. They were so brazen that they even made music videos brandishing guns to promote their reputation and threaten acts of violence against their enemies. But the takedown has brought all that to an end.
Gang violence is an issue in New York City. This sends a message to them if they're out there. Heed what we're doing this morning, and if you continue, we're coming for you.
That message to everyone who picks up a gun. Police Commissioner Keishant Sewell just took over the department, but this is the type of police work she says she will build on. Before the takedown, Sewell is brought up to speed on the case. During a briefing, the facts are disturbing, especially involving young people turning to violence. But this takedown mirrors Sewell's mission
and made the streets safer for its residents. But even as the dust settled on Weymouth Street, investigators already knew another crew had been quietly filling the void. The exact same pattern and business model just a few miles away. And this time, the name behind it would take them from Philadelphia's corners all the way to Puerto Rico. So, only a few days after the Weymouth Street arrests, the feds and local authorities launched another major raid around the 5th and Cornwall intersection.
Authorities say their investigation began in February of 2023, and it was last week when law enforcement hit multiple properties of North American and also the 2900 block of Lawrence Street.
Our law enforcement teams went to 14 locations, executed multiple federal search and arrest warrants, and arrested over 12 suspects. A total of 57 firearms, including multiple personally made firearms, also known as PMFs, 5.56 and .223 caliber rifles, pistols with extended magazines, stolen firearms, and thousands of rounds of ammunition, as well as a machine gun conversion device, also known as a switch.
Undercover agents had been watching for months, and what they uncovered was another well-structured criminal network, cars pulling up in nearby parking lots, and quick hand-to-hand exchanges. According to Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday, this was a multi-layered enterprise that functioned every hour of the day.
Everyone had their role, everyone had a rank. There were packagers, transporters, street dealers, and someone that oversaw the street dealing and collected all of the money.
The investigation lasted a little over a year, and when the raids went down, police swarmed homes across the city and into nearby Levittown, Bucks County, where one of the group's stash houses was located.
During the arrest on Thursday, police also got 19 guns, 12 kilos of cocaine, 50 pounds of marijuana, and $275,000 in cash, as well as cars involved in the trafficking.
By the time it ended, 21 people were charged and 16 arrested, but the ringleader, a man named Jimmy Torres, slipped away. Authorities say Torres ran his operation between Philadelphia and Puerto Rico, overseeing shipments and money collection while staying one step ahead of investigators. He's still on the run, and officials believe he may have already fled back to the island. But the raids didn't end without major arrests. Torres's own son, Matthew Torres, was among those captured. So was Johnny Bartolome, accused of storing large quantities of and marijuana inside his home before it was distributed across the city. Even though this takedown was a major victory, what investigators uncovered next was unlike anything they'd ever seen. To the ordinary eye, this massive ship docked at the port of Philadelphia might look like just another cargo ship, stacks of steel containers lined up like walls of metal, waiting to be unloaded. But when customs officers and Homeland Security agents boarded the vessel, what they found inside 7 of those containers would leave even veteran investigators stunned.
The tip came in Monday morning as the MSC Guyane arrived at the Packer Marine Terminal. Chopper 6 overhead as Customs and Border Protection deployed an X-ray vehicle to inspect the shipping containers. That's when officers discovered the contraband cargo. Each shipping container then boarded by Customs, ICE, Homeland Security, and Philadelphia Police. Canines used to identify the packages as cocaine. In total, 16.5 tons of the illegal drug made its way on a long journey.
That's roughly 33,000 pounds of coke, worth more than $1 billion on the street. And to put that into perspective, this was one of the largest coke seizures in U.S. history, and by far the biggest ever recorded in Philadelphia. Federal officials said the amount of coke found in those containers almost doubled the total seized nationwide for that entire year. Agents spent hours unloading container after container, each packed with hidden compartments filled with sealed bricks of white powder. But the question is, how did such a massive shipment end up in Philadelphia? Investigators traced the ship's route and learned it had traveled from Chile, passed through Panama, stopped in the Bahamas, and then headed north to the U.S. East Coast. Somewhere along that route, the drugs were secretly loaded onto the vessel using floating nets off the coast of Peru, where smugglers retrieved and hid the packages inside containers before sealing them again. The crew members on board were questioned, and several were charged for their roles in coordinating the shipment. The ship company, Mediterranean Shipping, has released a statement distancing itself from the drugs.
The ship's owner, Mediterranean Shipping Company, later issued a statement saying that drug traffickers often try to exploit commercial vessels. He also stated that they were working closely with U.S. authorities.
Investigators now believe this shipment was part of the same route supplying the criminal gangs with the drugs. that have been poisoning Philadelphia's neighborhoods. But the real question is, if this is the one they caught, how many other containers have already made their way onto the streets? Please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like this. Meanwhile, click on any of the cards on your screen right now to watch more of our videos.